Everybody knows Star Wars, the galaxy far, far away that became one of the biggest franchises in entertainment history, the lightsabers, the space battles, the alien worlds. But what most people forget are the movies that looked at Star Wars and thought, we can build our own universe too. Some were obvious copies. Others took a completely different path, but many had what every great franchise needs, a universe waiting to be explored. They had alien civilizations, epic conflicts, unforgettable heroes, and mythology big enough for sequels and spin-offs, yet instead of becoming the next big thing, they disappeared into the forgotten corners of science fiction. One came so close to Star Wars that it ended up in a legal battle. Another was created by a filmmaker who would later change cinema forever, and one had everything needed to become a franchise, except the right moment. Today, we're looking at 10 Star Wars rip-offs that deserved their own franchise. Before we enter these forgotten galaxies, hit that like button and subscribe, so you can join us uncover more lost science fiction worlds from cinema history. And don't worry, this won't require a secret deal with the Jedi Council. Let's begin. Number 10, Starcrash, 1978. There are bad movies, there are good movies, and then there are movies where the ambition is so much bigger than the budget that you almost have to respect the attempt. Starcrash is one of those movies. Released in 1978, just 1 year after Star Wars changed science fiction forever, this Italian space opera tried to create its own massive universe. The story follows two space smugglers who become involved in a battle between a galactic emperor and a dangerous enemy threatening the galaxy. Sound familiar? Of course it does. The movie wears its Star Wars influence proudly, but underneath the cheap effects and strange decisions was a surprisingly huge idea. There was a galaxy full of different worlds, a powerful emperor, rebellions, alien creatures, space battles. The ingredients for a franchise were sitting right there. The movie even had a legendary talent behind it. Christopher Plummer appeared as the Emperor, reportedly accepting the role partly because it meant working in Rome, and somehow, even in a low-budget Italian space adventure, the film managed to attract composer John Barry, the man behind some of the greatest James Bond scores. The problem was simple. The imagination was bigger than the technology. Starcrash couldn't match the spectacle of Star Wars. But when you look past the effects, you can see something interesting. A universe with potential, a galaxy that could have become something more. Hollywood has given franchises to far stranger ideas, and honestly, I've seen less interesting worlds get multiple sequels. But if Starcrash was a small-budget European attempt to create a space empire, the next movie came from an entire country trying to build its own answer to Star Wars. Number 9. Message from Space, 1978. When Star Wars arrived in 1977, Hollywood wasn't the only place watching. Across the world, filmmakers saw George Lucas create a new kind of space adventure and wondered, could we create our own galaxy? Japan's answer was Message from Space, and the story behind it is almost as interesting as the movie itself. Executives at Toei Studios were so interested in Star Wars that they reportedly traveled to Hawaii to watch it before it reached Japanese theaters. They studied what made it work, then returned home and created one of Japan's most ambitious science fiction productions ever made. The movie follows a group of heroes fighting to free a peaceful planet from an evil empire. And yes, the similarities are obvious. A young group of rebels, a powerful enemy, a mystical element connecting the heroes together. But Message from Space wasn't just copying Star Wars, it was trying to combine Western space opera with Japanese mythology. The film had a massive vision for its time: alien worlds, warriors, royal families, ancient conflicts, the kind of ingredients that could have supported years of stories. Unfortunately, the movie arrived at the wrong time. Audiences had already seen the real thing, and when compared directly to Star Wars, Message from Space struggled. But interestingly, the story didn't completely disappear. A television series followed, expanding the universe beyond the movie. The potential was always there. The world was big enough, the mythology was deep enough. It just never got the chance to become Japan's answer to Star Wars. Number 8, Spacehunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, 1983. Sometimes a movie fails because it's bad, and sometimes it fails because it arrives at the worst possible moment. Spacehunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone belongs to the second category. This movie arrived in 1983, just 1 week before Return of the Jedi. That was basically walking into a lightsaber fight with a water pistol. The film follows Wolf, a space bounty hunter who travels to a dangerous planet to rescue 3 women trapped by a mysterious villain. On paper, It had everything: a futuristic wasteland, a dangerous world, a rogue hero, a memorable villain, a young Molly Ringwald before she became a major star, and a young Ernie Hudson before Ghostbusters made him famous. The movie even had a talented team behind it, including producer Ivan Reitman. But then production problems started. Originally, the film was designed as a straightforward science fiction adventure. Then, after the success of 3D movies at the time, the studio converted it into a 3D experience. That decision affected the entire production. Scenes had to be redesigned, the pacing changed, the movie became less focused, and then it had the impossible task of competing with one of the biggest movies in history. But looking back today, there's something interesting about Spacehunter. The relationship between Wolf and the young character Nikki feels surprisingly modern. A lonely warrior protecting a younger companion across a dangerous galaxy. Sound familiar? Years before The Mandalorian introduced a similar dynamic, Spacehunter was already exploring that idea. It wasn't a perfect movie, but buried underneath its flaws was the foundation of a much bigger adventure. Number 7. The Ice Pirates, 1984. The strange thing about The Ice Pirates is that it was never supposed to be a comedy. Originally, this was planned as a serious science fiction epic, the huge space adventure, a battle over the most valuable resource in the galaxy. Then reality happened. The studio looked at the budget, looked at the risks, and decided the movie needed to become something cheaper. So instead of a serious space opera, it became a bizarre sci-fi comedy, and somehow, that made it more memorable. The story takes place in a future where water has become the most valuable resource in the universe. A group of space pirates steal ice from powerful organizations while searching for a legendary hidden planet. And underneath all the jokes, there is actually a fascinating universe. There are space empires, religious armies, pirate crews, lost planets, a galaxy built around survival. The movie had the basic ingredients of a franchise. The problem was that nobody knew what kind of franchise it wanted to be: a serious epic, a comedy, a parody. It tried to be everything at once, but after its theatrical run disappointed. It found a second life on cable television and became a cult favorite. And honestly, some franchises have started with much weaker foundations. The world of the Ice Pirates was strange, it was chaotic, but it was also full of possibilities. But the next movie wasn't just inspired by Star Wars. It became one of the biggest examples of Hollywood trying to create its own answer to the phenomenon, and it got dangerously close. Number 6. The Black Hole, 1979. Before Disney became the king of massive franchises, the studio took its biggest step into science fiction with The Black Hole. The story follows the crew of the spaceship Palomino as they discover the mysterious Cygnus floating near a black hole. Inside, they find a scientist, a group of robots, and secrets that challenge everything they know. Unlike Star Wars, Disney didn't make a simple space adventure. The Black Hole was a strange mix of science fiction, mystery, and gothic horror. It introduced unforgettable creations like the terrifying robot Maximilian and the lovable robot Vincent, while building a universe that felt ready for more stories. The production was ambitious, with Disney creating new technology for its visual effects, but audiences were divided, especially by its bizarre ending. The movie wasn't a failure, but it wasn't the franchise Disney hoped for, and that's the tragedy. The characters were there, the universe was there, the potential was there, but Disney moved on, and the franchise disappeared into the darkness. Number 5. Battlestar Galactica, 1978. This is the one that got so close to Star Wars that it ended up in court. Battlestar Galactica follows the last survivors of humanity after their colonies are destroyed by the robotic Cylons. They escape aboard the Battlestar Galactica, searching for the lost colony of Earth, a fleet of survivors, a dangerous enemy, space battles, a mythology that could expand forever. The potential was obvious, but so were the similarities. Lucasfilm and 20th Century Fox accused the show of copying several elements from Star Wars, leading to a legal battle over the similarities. Behind the scenes, the series was massive, becoming one of the most expensive television shows ever made. The biggest problem wasn't the audience, ratings were strong. The problem was the cost. After one season, the original series ended, but decades later, the 2004 reboot proved something important. Battlestar Galactica always had the foundation of a great franchise. It wasn't missing ideas, it was simply ahead of its time. Number 4. Battle Beyond the Stars, 1980. Hidden inside this low-budget Star Wars-inspired adventure were three future legends: a young James Cameron, a legendary composer named James Horner, and writer John Sayles, who would later become one of independent cinema's most respected filmmakers. Produced by Roger Corman for only $2 million, the movie was basically the Magnificent Seven in space. A young hero travels across the galaxy, gathering warriors to defend his planet from destruction. The concept was simple, but the possibilities were huge. Different worlds, alien fighters, a galaxy full of stories. The movie made money, but instead of expanding the universe, Corman moved on, which is a shame because Battle Beyond the Stars had everything needed for a franchise. It wasn't lacking imagination, it was lacking someone willing to build on it. Number 3. Krull, 1983. Some movies fail because they have no imagination. Krull failed because it had almost too much, part fantasy, part science fiction, part futuristic medieval adventure. The story follows Prince Colwyn as he battles an alien force known as the Beast and searches for his kidnapped bride. The movie created a fascinating world filled with alien invaders, mysterious fortresses, ancient weapons, and unique creatures. Its most famous creation was the glaive, a legendary 5-bladed weapon that became more memorable than the movie itself. With a $30 million budget, massive sets, and a young Liam Neeson in the cast, Krull had enormous potential, but it arrived the same summer as Return of the Jedi. Audiences were already focused on one galaxy. The movie struggled, yet beneath the flaws was a universe waiting to expand: the Beast, the Black Fortress, the kingdoms of Krull. All pieces of a much bigger saga that never happened. Number 2. Flash Gordon, 1980. Here's one of the biggest ironies in science fiction history. George Lucas originally wanted to make a Flash Gordon movie. When he couldn't get the rights, he created Star Wars instead. Then Flash Gordon finally returned to the big screen and had to compete with the franchise it helped inspire. Directed by Mike Hodges, the movie had an incredible cast: Sam J. Jones as Flash, Max von Sydow as Ming, Timothy Dalton as Prince Barine, and Brian Blessed as Vultan. The movie wasn't trying to be realistic, it was a colorful comic book adventure brought to life. Add Queen's legendary soundtrack, and you get one of the strangest sci-fi movies ever made. A sequel was planned, but behind-the-scenes problems stopped it. Today, Flash Gordon is remembered as a cult classic, but with its alien worlds, kingdoms, and endless possibilities, it could have been much more. Number 1. The Last Starfighter, 1984. This is the one that should have become a franchise. The Last Starfighter had one of the most brilliant concepts of the 1980s. A teenager discovers that the arcade game he loves isn't a game at all. It's a recruitment test created by an alien civilization searching for pilots to fight a real intergalactic war. It's the ultimate childhood fantasy. What if the thing you were best at was preparing you for something bigger? The movie was also revolutionary, becoming one of the first films to heavily use CGI for its space battles. It introduced the Star League, the Gunstar ships, and an entire universe built for expansion. The movie was successful. Audiences loved it, critics respected it, but science fiction belonged to Star Wars. Over the years, sequel attempts failed because of complicated rights issues, and that's what makes it frustrating. The universe wasn't missing ideas, it was missing the chance to grow. More than 40 years later, The Last Starfighter remains one of cinema's greatest what-ifs. Every franchise starts with one thing: a world. Before there were sequels, spin-offs, and endless merchandise, there was just an idea that made audiences want to see more. Star Wars became a cultural empire, but these movies proved that it wasn't the only galaxy worth exploring. Some failed because of timing, some failed because studios didn't understand what they had, and some simply arrived in a world where there was only room for one space saga. But years later, these forgotten universes still have something that many modern blockbusters struggle to create: a sense of possibility. Which one of these do you think deserved its own franchise, and which one are you watching tonight? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoy uncovering forgotten worlds of science fiction, subscribe to Hefty Cinema, because sometimes the greatest stories aren't the ones that became legendary, they're the ones that almost did. Also check out our next video on the screen. YouTube thinks you'll love it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.